morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there in the world. It's time to step out onto the high wire. Well, what does all this have to do with Atlas? Well, you know, when I watch the comments in the show, a lot of times I'll see it written in the comments, oh, from your lips to God's ears, Del. Well, this week, perhaps the next best thing. It went from our lips to President Trump's ears. What am I talking about? Well, this is what I said all the way back in May.
Contact tracing, although an important part of the overall preparation for potential future outbreaks, is not critical right now and is not as valuable after a disease is already widespread, infecting tens of millions of people.
It is unrealistic to expect that complete contact tracing will need to be feasible before reopening, where you have 30% of New York already infected at the moment, or 5% in other states, or 10% when you have a sizable portion of the population already infected. They have been exposing almost everyone else.
There's an alternative to contact tracing, and that is to say we identify people at higher risk and we carefully protect them from exposure to the virus. And people at low risk, we actually expect the virus to circulate. So contact tracing in that group almost defeats the purpose.
Treating COVID-19 at all costs is severely restricting other medical care and instilling fear in the public, creating a massive health disaster.
Does anyone else out there wish you could vote on like who's going to run this country? Since clearly presidents aren't and prime ministers aren't around the world, now it's doctors, then we should be allowed to vote, right? I want to vote out Fauci and Birx and maybe vote in Atlas, Katz, Ioannidis, and Mr. Roy, all of these people, brilliant scientists that have established medical schools in this country. I'd like them making the decision in this country, wouldn't you? Well, that's what I said all the way back on May 14th. As you know, here on the High Wire, we have been showing you that really the majority of scientists, virologists, doctors around the world disagree with the draconian measures of lockdowns, masks. They disagree that waiting for a vaccine is the way to go. Many of them talking about herd immunity. Well, finally, it's now in the middle of August. We are seeing some moves in the White House. And one of those guys that I was talking about, that's right, you got it, Dr. Scott Atlas was announced by Donald Trump as a part of the new task force to lead us forward. Take a look at this.
We have a man with us who's a great expert from Stanford. He's working with us. He's consulting with us. Maybe Dr. Scott Atlas could say just a couple of words.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor to be asked to help out in any way I can, and the event I thought was terrific. I want to thank everyone for participating, and sort of to reiterate the bottom line on this, as the President and Vice President and Secretary DeVos have said, which is we know that the risk of the disease is extremely low for children, even less than that of seasonal flu. We know that the harms of locking out the children from school are enormous. And we also know, as we all would agree, that educating America's children is right at the top of the list for our nation's priorities. So I thank the President and everyone here for acknowledging these truths and to get kids back to school safely. Thank you.
Do not tell me we are not having an effect in this world, folks. You're doing it. It's happening. We're celebrating going back to school this week, and what better way to celebrate it than to show that we actually have someone now in the White House that cares about getting our kids back to school in a natural and healthy way. Well, of course, mainstream media that is run and owned by pharmaceutical industry have been really going crazy. Check out some of these headlines. Trump adds coronavirus advisor who echoes his unscientific claims. Who is Dr. Scott Atlas, Trump's new COVID health advisor, seen as counter to Fauci and Birx? Meet Trump's new coronavirus advisor, Dr. Scott Atlas, a Stanford physician who frequently criticized lockdown measures and believes in the full opening of schools. That's right. Trump gives the floor to his new anti-lockdown medical advisor, Dr. Scott Atlas, who says coronavirus is less risky than flu for kids. Oh, my God, the nerve of him. It's an amazing moment. We have a true doctor that is from Stanford University, is now in the White House, that aligns with all of the great doctors and scientists. Look at his resume. Robert Wesson, Senior Fellow at Stanford University's Hoover Institution. former faculty, University of Pennsylvania, former faculty, Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York, former faculty, University of California at San Francisco, a BS in biology, University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, and MD from the University of Chicago. Dr. Scott Atlas had a few great quotes in the Daily Mail article. This is what they were angry about him saying. Trump gives the floor to his new anti-lockdown medical advisor. Well, we know that the risk of the disease is extremely low for children, even less that of seasonal flu. Atlas told an audience at an event that had more than 25 American flags. That has been falsely portrayed as a problem requiring mass isolation. In fact, infected people without severe illness are the immediately available vehicle for establishing widespread immunity by transmitting the virus to others in the low-risk group. Who then generate antibodies, they block the network of pathways toward the most vulnerable people, ultimately ending the threat. Atlas continued, extending whole population isolation would directly prevent that widespread immunity from developing. He goes on to say what I would call the HighWire protocol. That's right, he is recommending what we've been recommending on the HighWire since the beginning. Let's protect those that are truly at risk, over the age of 65, other comorbidities like heart disease or COPD, diabetes, perhaps even obesity. Let's look at those that have severe autoimmune issues. Let's protect them. Let's lock them down. Let's keep them in masks. Let's make sure that they're safe while we send our children back to school, while the healthy get back to work, so that we can reach, and yes, the words are now being said in the capital of the United States of America, natural herd immunity. Can you say #winning? If you like that clip, then be sure to check out our live broadcast of the HighWire every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. You can watch it on Facebook, iTunes, and Twitter. We'll see you there.